Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bomber Banter, the first live fan cam for the Essendon Army. I am so excited to be here. I hope that is streaming and going out. I can't quite believe I'm here and doing this. It all happened very quickly the second I decided to do this and made the mental handshake with my brain. Um, I am so keen to talk to many of you and get the chat happening post our game today. Few little housekeeping things before I get to some of our guests and get the show rolling. First thing is, I am totally aware that I am an amateur in this space of streaming and technical things. So please be kind to me in regards to the sound and quality of the camera and all of those things, because this is new for me, and so I'm doing the best with what I have, and I promise you it will get better as we go on. So I know that. Please don't yell at me in the comments. And the second thing is, I hope this can go without saying, but I'm hoping to keep this place a really respectful, wholesome environment where everybody feels comfortable to comment, to say what they feel. I have a zero tolerance for bullying or defamatory remarks. So please don't make me put you in a timeout or block you. Please just keep it respectful. Nothing homophobic, racist, or misogynistic. I trust you all to keep it cool. And in saying all that, let's talk about the game and get right into it. The one thing I felt that was really profound was how last week I felt 10 times worse after a win than I did tonight after a loss. And I think a part of that was because in my head, there's a part of me that just feels like we should be smashing West Coast and playing some really good footy. And we didn't see some of the great footy that we saw today and the exceptional moments that we saw today last week against West Coast. And so a part of that makes me, puts into reality that aspect of why I felt that way. It was a real roller coaster for me. I felt like we saw some really terrific moments where we're like, wow, here is the future. Maybe we're not so bad. We're going to be fine for the future. And then we saw some really inept moments where you're like, if you showed someone this footage, they're thinking this is a bottom two side. A lot of that had to do with the opponent, and props to Collingwood. What an outfit. And I made a comment that they were just electric, and so they should be the oldest, most experienced team in it, and they should be playing like they are. We were the second youngest today, and I dare say without Goldstein, we may have been the youngest. So I think we saw some really amazing signs, and I think there's a lot to be excited about. For me, in my head, the good is standing out. Maybe that's part of the excitement of being here with you guys. I don't know, but I'm keen to hear what you think about it. Let me know. I'm going to bring in our first guest. It brings me great pleasure to introduce the solution from the Windy Hill Windsock podcast. You will sort of see him, but sort of not. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Solution.
What up?
Who have I got
How
here?
are you?
I feel like I've just stepped into the reservoirrec.com. What is happening?
This is how we roll down here. We did have a stabbing today, by the way, in Reservoir, but that's just
Are
any
you
day
okay?
ending. It's any day ending in Y for us. But
It's good to
yeah,
see you're not doing this stream from a prison cell, are you? I hope.
yeah, my location will not be disclosed, nor my name. But I want to start with this. Well done. This is fantastic. I'm honoured to be the first guest, by the way, and it's fantastic that you are doing this. In terms of the mask, I need to apologise. It is fucking falling down, though. COVID was a long time ago. Oh, by the way, can we swear?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good. Yeah, so we've been podcasting for many, many years, and we've been incognito the whole time. And I don't want to be like, it's like when Kiss tried to take off their makeup. They were really, really bad and no one was interested and they had to put the makeup back on. I don't want to do that to our podcast fans. And also, I'm an ugly mother, so no one wants to see my face. But it's a fantastic thing you're doing. And before we get into the game, well done. I do want to say with some of the comments, I agree with Jeremy. Yes, you can bully the umpires. That is one exception, at least when I'm here.
Yes. Bullying of umpires is acceptable. Let's just tell everybody what this is. Jeremy, yes, thank you for being here, Jeremy. Bullying of the umpires is acceptable. Bullying of opponents, that's sort of acceptable. But I'm going to keep it up to you. I'm going to leave it up to you to know what's acceptable. But yes, maybe not of each other.
Yeah, within reason. Within reason.
Yeah. So tell me,
But,
what did you think? You were at home on the couch like I was.
Mm.
How did you see the game?
Look, this is what I want to say about the game. This is my sort of take. This game is like a microcosm of what we'll see all year. Or sorry, of Essendon season. We're going to see some good. We're going to see some terrible. We're going to see some great signs from young players. But ultimately, we're going to fall short. And that's going to be the tale of the season. This is a rebuild year. And nobody should be surprised by this result. We know where Collingwood are in their trajectory. They're top of the ladder, most experienced team in the league. They're well drilled. We know where they're going. We showed today we can do it. And we also showed where our failings are. And I think ultimately where we are now, even though we've had a couple of decades of mediocrity, is due to the poor strategy, poor decisions we've made, particularly at the draft table. And we've got too many B-, C+ players running around, including some recent draft picks. It's just the way it is. And the strategy of rebuilding.
Name them.
Well, where's Sardis? Hobbs. Perkins was okay. We still hope he can do something. Look at the players we've traded in. They just are who they are. Andy McGrath's an example. I counted 3 missed handballs. Like, I understand missed kicks, missed handballs in a row. The reality is we just have to rebuild. We have to start again. That's got to be the strategy. And we're going to have to go through the pain that we went through today. We're going to have to suffer. And it just is what it is.
I guess my question is, can you see with a bit of continuity and some more, chemistry building between this group, do you think that can build, or do you think there are some massive holes? Like, can you take your mind back to a time where Collingwood was in this position and we were saying that about all their young players? Or do you think there are some real holes?
No, I think there's holes, but I think equally there's a trajectory for a lot of these guys. And Caddy, Kako, Reid was fantastic today.
Yes.
His best game for the club. It was so pleasing to see. So
is it a little bit ironic that was it his first game that he played in the wet on Joe Danaher in Brisbane, and it was awful? I don't know if that was his first game or one of his first game backs after a long injury. And then today in the wet, he was excellent. He was just, I reckon he did 2 hours of his mindfulness, because he looked like he was in the zone.
Yeah, he was magnificent today, honestly.
Gandhi couldn't have disrupted him. Like, it was just,
yeah, 100%. So the reality is, as painful as it is, as frustrating as it is listening to the Collingwood supporters, I think everybody that went to the game deserves full credit for putting up with the weather. Those idiots in black and white, and everything else. We've just got to be patient, and we've got to just go with the strategy. And as frustrating as it's going to be at times, this is going to be our year. It's going to be up. It's going to be down.
Yeah.
Probably more down.
All right, let's talk about some of these comments. All right. Jono, senior players are a real problem. If you're 28 years old and continue to panic in a Files-like intensity, you're not going to find composure in September. I think that's a good call. The first one that comes to mind today for me is Redmond. He had some moments that turned momentum, and I just don't think he should be making those kinds of moments or making those kinds of mistakes,
Yeah.
and as John says, in a big game.
We should have just given him 1-year contracts like we used to give with who was it? Was it Andrew Welsh or someone like that? Or no, Spike. It was Spike McVeigh. He just used to have a rolling 1-year contract. Redmond was a lot better in his pre-contract year, but yeah, I agree. It's the senior group that are the B- C+ players for me.
Yeah.
And we just have to back youth. We have to bank that Melbourne draft pick. May Melbourne be... I mean, they were woeful last night. They were just lucky they played an even worse team. And we need to really make this draft count, the next 2 drafts count prior to Tasmania entering the fold.
Yeah. I think on that regard, I think we can be positive about that. I think there's going to be a lot of clubs envious of where we are moving, with the forecasting Tasmania coming in. We can already see, if you follow Kaltumi, we have got some incredibly exciting NGA prospects coming up. And then Kobe Buick, who is the 2027 draft. So I think we are well set. I've always said that we need to judge this group on the first player that was drafted / traded under Brad Scott, so we can see the evolution of them, of the evolution of the culture, the club, the system, the structure, the game plan. There's not much he can do about the standards that were set before he walked in the doors.
Can I respectfully disagree? I would say since the Phantom of the Opera, Quasimodo, from the now
where are you going with that?
Notre Dame, since Dodoro left, that's when we need to start judging these
facts.
These vanity trades. Dylan Shield, vanity trade. Look, I thought Dylan, there's comments, I noted in the comments, some people are commenting on his performance. He was good today, and I think he's been good in recent weeks. But to me, he's a monument to the mismanagement and the vanity trades of I'm a really bad gangster, by the way. This mask keeps falling off. I need to get a real belly of the Xavier Campbell era, basically, and the Dodoro era. So I would be judging from the time Dodoro's left, and that's really where we started again as a club.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good shout. Brad Scott, the second he had his groups fully, because I feel that he didn't fully have his hands on the club, and including, Dave Barham and Vozzo and all of that.
Alexander reckons if you think Shield was good today, you have rocks in your head. I thought he was good early. Sorry, I thought he was instrumental in getting us back into the game.
Look, I have to agree with Alexander F here. I don't think he had a good game. I think if we're rating mids, I think Durham was more instrumental in getting us in the game. Dylan Shield, how would I describe his game? Just a bit thoughtless with his possession. I don't know.
That's the Dylan Shield experience.
That's
when has his possession ever been thoughtful?
That's true.
But I thought he was.
But why do we like? Is he doing enough good to endure that?
We gave him how many draft picks did we give up? How much money has he been on?
17.
It's been an abject failure. And again, how he played today is kind of irrelevant to my point. My point is, we had these. We started to believe, I think, as a club that we would win if we won the trade period. And where did it lead us? It just led us to, I mean, Stringer was great while he was here. Devon Smith, I still remember on the podcast when you gave Devon Smith best on ground, our Herd Award, when he'd had 4 possessions and 3 tackles. He was okay for a little while. 2
Is
metres
that
been
really
good.
necessary? I'm feeling very vulnerable now. Do you have to air my dirty laundry?
Sorry.
Jesus.
But my point is, we need to start again. And it's sad because we didn't bottom out, as I think one of the comments said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We've suffered for over 2 decades. We had our Black Swan event, which was the saga, is what it
Yep.
is. We just need to start again from the bottom up. It just is what it
This is an
is.
interesting one. JM, Shield so impactful but low time on ground and cramping every game this season. What's going on? You're right, Jay. Even the commentators made mention of that. I think that he was cramping last week too. Not sure. It's strange because one thing you can always give Dill is that he keeps himself in absolute exquisite nick. Perhaps he trained all preseason in the back line. Did that have an effect with his fitness for compatibility with the midfield, and now that kind of the fitness levels for a backman compared to a mid, are they that different that he doesn't have that much conditioning? Who knows?
I'll tell you what I like about the podcast that we do is I can just throw stuff out there and no one holds me to account. But I've got Haydos saying here, GWS selected Jai Caldwell with the pick we traded for Shield. Yeah, but that's kind of irrelevant to my point in a way. My point is we gave up way too much for a guy who, even at his best, is never going to move the needle of this club. He's probably a better player in a really good team. He's the cherry on top. He can win a game. He can do some great things. But honestly, some of these comments are hilarious. Yeah, it's the point is these trades really damaged our long-term viability.
Yeah, it's look, I think in that space, I think we have Matt Rosa has a really clear path now moving forward. And I think those kinds of things are well in our rearview mirror. In saying that, there's a guy called Harley Reid who's going to be as tempting as a bucket of hot chips is to me. He is just, I go 1 week, I'm like, I'm all in on Harley. I don't care if we have to give up 16 first round draft picks. I want him because he is a generational player. He's not just a Dylan Shield or just a good player. He is generational. He changes. He has the ability to change a culture, to change a group. He's immature now, but this is what we saw from a young Ben Cousins. This is what we saw from a young Dustin Martin, how he's behaving. This is not new behaviour. People who are shocked by it, it's not new. It's annoying, but there's just something in him. And then the next week passes, and I'm like, no.
Can I ask you then? Are you giving up? Are you giving up the farm for him?
1 week I am, and then the next week I've oscillated back to nah. Commit to the draft. Commit to just using our first rounders. We're in a great position. 2, 3 first round kids are better than just Harley Reid himself. So I cannot be trusted with my opinion on him to this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Right, here's an interesting question. This is the last one before I move on to the next guest from Anthony. Anthony, I hope you enjoyed the game today. I know it was a loss. I hope you didn't get too wet. I know you were at the game. I hope it was a great day. But this is an interesting question. Who would you prefer, Laverty or Pryor as our third tall defender?
Can I field this?
Please.
Option C, none of the above.
Sheesh. At this point, it doesn't look like they're either great options for looking forward, do they?
Is Pryor, don't want to get Anthony on a technicality, but is Pryor tall?
I think he's more tall than he is a small. Like, I'd probably be a bit more comfortable in him playing on a less mobile player than a Jamie Elliott. or a really buzzy small forward.
Mm. Okay, interesting.
All right, Solution, I might leave you there. Thank you so much for being the very first guest on the Fan Cams. Thank you for your help and your support and your guidance in this journey. I really appreciate it. And it wasn't a face reveal tonight, but maybe one day in the near future.
I'll tell you what, if you hit 1,000 subscribers, there'll be a reveal.
All
and
right,
everyone's going to be so disappointed.
No. All righty.
But well done.
Right,
well done on this venture.
Thank you so much.
Talk soon.
Bye. All right, let's look at some of these comments. Michael, thank you for being here. Why was McGrath taken off Hill in the second half? Martin should have played in the forward half more. Dangerous there. I have to agree with your second part of that. Martin, did not notice him much today. Age-old question, did he not take himself down to the forward line enough today, or did Brad Scott make that call? The next guest I'm going to bring on might have a bit of an opinion on that, so hold out, Michael. Ange, thank you for being here, Ange. Zach Reid was enormous. He's enormous in stature, and he was enormous today in performance. Absolutely incredible. I am stoked for him. I feel like he is locked in now mentally. He is not losing his spot to anybody else, to his body, to another player, and long may that continue. All right, who else have I got here? Luke, one positive though, Zach Reid is going well and staying fit. Great to see. Yeah, amazing. Dave, you think Pryor is getting better? I thought last week he was good. I think against Melbourne he was good, but the pattern here is in the losses he's panicking and he's not standing up. So that would be my main concern. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in a great man, a leader, a forefront runner in podcasts. He will be known to you as Scooter from the Lunchtime Catch-Up podcast, and he is a good friend and has been a huge supporter of mine forever. And I am so thankful that he is here. Welcome, Scooter.
Hello, how are they?
I am good. Well. How are you?
Very good. How exciting is this?
It is exciting. I had to have a glass of wine before this because I was feeling a little bit nervous, but I'm feeling good now, seeing some familiar faces and some love in the comments. So thank you if you're here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you, Scooter, for coming on and for all your support of me in all my ventures. Safe to say that, you are one of a kind in what you do in your pod and how you go about it. So thank you. I'm sure everyone will agree with me on that. You were at the ground today.
No, do you know what? I was actually home today.
You were home. Okay.
So yeah, I it was a bit of a change in plan, but yeah, home today. So look, yeah,
I've
got the TV experience, So look, I'm a little bit like you. I didn't really over panic or just as the game was going on. 27 points down, we got it. Then suddenly we're 3 or 4 points up, and I was like, "This is great." We've been showing a bit of resilience as a group, and look, junk time goals at the very end. Obviously, kind of overplayed it. I thought the contest a bit. I thought it was like a 20-point kind of win. So looking at the contest, it's amazing when you're watching Collingwood, and because they're mostly healthy, to understand this is generational talent we're playing against, and you sometimes have to swallow your Essendon bias and pride and going like Sidebottom, Pendlebury, the two Dacosses, Crisp, all these guys, Elliott, these are premiership, once in a generation kind of players. And look, I was even just thinking, I think it was around about the third quarter, just having a thought because I attend training during the off season. And I remember seeing sessions where there was a session where there was Bryan and Draper rotating, and Parrish, Caldwell was coming in, Sardis was killing it, and I'm like, well, these guys aren't here. Like, I have to understand that too. Like that, I did not have Shields Setterfield like midfield at this point of the season, and with no ruck. And I thought Goldie tried his heart out, and I give him a lot of credit for it. But I think there has to be perspective of where we're at even if this week on what's happening. So again, with the Zach Reid, the joy for me watching Zach Reid today was that he played like it was a dry weather game. And I was talking, I had a Collingwood mate, and I said, what you guys do is, even though it's raining, you look like it's half dry half the time. You're that skillful. So to see Zach Reid almost be the number one player on our side that looked like it was a dry game and just showing his talent, it's been a sensational first 6 games. It should be front and center, the positives, and young Archie Roberts as well. And so I'm with you. I hate losing any time, but I'm not. Yep. I'm coming away with it with a pretty good perspective of where I think the club needs to be in 3 to 5 years, why there's a bit of recruiting, why there's a bit of finessing of the list to come. And also there's some Jai Caldwell makes a huge difference today. If he plays this game, he makes a huge difference in this game, because the ground ball gets in the contest work. You look at those numbers, minus 14 clearances and minus 16 inside 50s. He's that. And it's no accident to me that he misses 3 weeks and Merritt probably has his quietest 3 weeks, because I think he needs Caldwell. Yeah. So
I thought Setters really stepped up the last couple of weeks in that space Caldwell's leaving some really high standards, but I thought, whilst he's my favourite and I love him, but I wasn't missing him that much, because I thought Setters were doing quite a good job. But today I saw firsthand Setters just a few little moments where I'm like, Calder's probably wouldn't have done that, or he would have been at the next stoppage in the next contest. His gut running and his defensive cohesion would have just clicked in. And so, today was the first part we noticed, but I noticed Caldwell's loss. And the stats kind of back that up, don't they?
Yeah, and like Setters and Caldwell are different styles and how we're using them. So they've been kind of using Setters as a semi-run with, semi-get, play his game, where Caldwell is simply, you're one of our good players, find ball, get ball. So I think that even just which this is probably why he helps Merritt a bit, because it's two kind of guns in their prime, kind of that, instead of using a run with type role. Yeah. So because I felt like the opposition were really starting to take notice of Caldwell big time, and then they weren't sure which one to stop. So
all of a sudden you've got to put a lot of work and time into 2 in there, because if you let one go off the hook, that's what made me laugh about seeing comments on X today. Oh, I don't think Essendon have seen Dacos before, but you can't account for them all. Like, there's 2 Dacoses, there's side bottom, there's Pennells. You can't have plans for them all, because then all your players are playing role, like are watching, and being really in on themselves and have a role. We need some players to attack. So it's just quality of opponent.
No, look, totally agree. And look, I actually thought even with Reedy, you look at Myercheck, you look at what's his name, the ex-Brisbane guy, will come to me soon. Forward. When you have a mental blank. Yeah. But I actually found like their forwards, their tall forwards, we actually negated pretty well. Even though Ben Mackay gets copped a lot of flack, I thought he did really well. My check had 6 disposals.
He was great. And I thought the change moving Ridley onto Degoe in the second half, I thought that was really good as well. I think he got off him once. But I think it was it Pryor who was on him, and then they moved Ridley onto him. But I thought that was good too. But you're right, the talls were quite ineffectual, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And probably just, we've got a little bit of an out of form Redmond the last couple of weeks. He was doing, I can say this but he was doing fitness tests galore. He looked sore during the week. I I was a little bit worried that where is he at for this game. I just wonder if there's a bit of a story behind his form, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame because we really need that kind of attacking Redmond. There was a comment on Martin, and
yes, Martin is the player I wanted to talk to you about. I need some clarity on what is happening with him. I'm open to the reality and what Brad Scott has planned for him. Personally, I don't see the benefits of it, but I'm not the coach. Where do you sit on Martin? I think everyone here in this forum at the minute would love some clarity on it.
Yeah, it's interesting because whether he was told to do this or not, but I found him as a defensive wingman. So I found him a lot across half back, and I don't find him hurts opposition in that role. For me, and whether it's him out of form or not, but when he has an aggressive mindset as a wingman to go forward, he's much better at his goal assists and creating score involvements. He's so dangerous, that side of the footy, where if I'm an opposition coach, I kind of am comfortable with how Martin played today. I feel like, oh, okay, well, he can play back there, and that's fine, especially in the wet. So I just find him personally much more dangerous forward of the ball. So I'd rather him look. If I had a spot, I'd rather him rotate midfield to half forward. That's my preference for him. I just think that would be dangerous, and maybe there's a spot because Gresha's not really helping us out at the moment. So I think there's a bit of a rotations to happen, I think, to help us out.
Was Gresh playing high forward a bit today, or was he kind of locked in? I didn't have a look at his heat map. I did notice Martin's heat map was completely to one side of the ground, up and down on the wing, as you say, defensively. But I don't know about Gresham. Is he playing too high half forward, or is that where he does his best work? Should we just lock him in and keep him forward with Kako deep forward?
Yeah, well, we do have something. I've been thinking about this, that both Gresham and Kako seem to play quite high, and that's kind of our rolling defensive press. But it does hurt us when we get an intercept and we don't have that presence, because we seem to be kicking it one-on-one to a tall, but if the ball goes to the ground, we're not really set up. So it's interesting how we may counter that in the future, because we need a small forward that's there at that kind of last line more.
Agree, or at least one of them, and I think having Menzie as the sub, perhaps if he was playing and when we had three small forwards, maybe one of them would have stayed deeper, closer to goal.
No, look.
Was that a personnel thing?
Yeah, to me, look, if I'm being honest, I've been pretty okay with how Scott's going, but I actually thought he got a few things wrong. I was a bit worried in that selection. I was like, we're a bit tall here. And a lot of people saw me say, hey, Jones may need to miss this one. It's not a total dig at Jones. It was actually just a balance of the side on a wet day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is not a whacking. Like, I think we can all safely say, if you're in this chat at the minute, you love the Essendon Football Club. You are literally not tuning in to a chat if you don't love and breathe and froth the Essendon Football Club. So anything we say that's negative about players is not a whack on them as a person. It is an opinion on how we see them in the side, their performance, as we are all open to critical, some critique. They are too. So, yeah, I think Jones is an interesting one on that. Do you think we're just trying to keep him in the side?
Yeah, look, I think the theory with Scott is that he's probably got a longer term of the year view, that I think he wants the back six. He's got Langford who's just come in. I think he's trying to create some stability at both ends to get, because unfortunately for Cads and Kako, they've just had forwards around them just rotating injured or in and out of the side, like Wright and Jones playing wing and then comes back in, and then Langford's been out, now comes back in. So I think he's just probably being sort of a bit not stubborn, but just like, no, I need 2 or 3 games where these guys are the front six and they're used to each other's movements, used to each other's leading patterns. And I might cop a loss or two, but in the end, a bit like how now Reedy and Ridley and that are starting to sync better. Can I get that in 2 or 3 weeks, a forward line more functional? That's my gut feel.
Yeah, and I mean, just on that, like, no, it's no secret I am a huge 2 meter Peter fan, but I tell you what, you would never think he had been out for 7 rounds and 7 weeks and not played with Kaki. I'm calling it Caddy and Kako and the forwards there. He looked like he slotted in seamlessly. His leading patterns were good. His defensive pressure was good. At the halftime, if you're at the game, you wouldn't have seen this, but at the halftime footage of the Essendon rooms, he was in the middle of the forward group talking to Caddy and showing him and directing, and it's just been an exceptional display of leadership from him the last 2 games since he's come back. So I just think he deserves so much props, and it could be, you couldn't fault them if it looked a bit clunky because they haven't played together, but I thought he displayed some real leadership down there.
I actually thought it was a really good touch. Like for the conditions, I just thought, he's pretty confident. His body language, he's an easy person to read sometimes, and you're like, you're like, your body language is on song here. Like it's
he doesn't have a good poker face, does he?
No, it's but it is crazy to think he's leading our goal kicking in 2 weeks. He's now a leading goal kicker. So, but look, I just think, he looks confident. Like he looks like. And some players get that because some players, like when Vigo played VFL last week, when sometimes a player, they go, there's no other option. You have to ruck for us. Like, and they sometimes just get a jolt because they're like, oh, I'm third string, or, I'll just play full forward or half forward in the VFL, see how I go. And then suddenly you get this jolt and you're like, oh, like everything's a purpose. Like I'm leading the ruck here for the whole VFL. Okay. And I feel like Peter Wright, in just with injuries, with a few other things, and with Brian and Drapes going down, I feel like he's got that kind of like, oh, I've got to lead this club a bit. I haven't got time to worry about confidence in that. And I feel like it's actually switched him on really fast, and got him like really focused, because there's no other way around it. You're the man. We need you for the rest of the year.
It's almost like the theory of, sometimes it's better to just be thrown in the deep end because you have no choice. There is no choice but to step up and take this young group, and like a bit with what I say about Shield, like what legacy do you want to leave at this football club? If you don't win a premiership, what is the next best thing you can do for the club, for the colours that you wear? That's what I always think, and I think he takes it seriously. I always did know that about him, but as we say, he's a confidence player, and I think he just, as you say, hasn't had time to think about whether he's in good confidence and all that. So that's a really good shout. But let's go to a question here. Random deleted cat. Okay, I don't think that's your name, but okay, no probs. Thank you for being here. How did you rate Langer's game, Scott?
Better for the run game. Look, it wasn't the Langers we know. And I honestly believe him getting through the game is my most positive, because a fourth hammy and a high hammy 6 weeks out, I really just wanted him to get through the game. But to be honest, his form was neither here or there. I get that. But if he can get continuity, we all know where it's at in 2 weeks.
Sorry, I'm just saying, my 11-year-old chose my YouTube name. No problem. Bring the 11-year-old on. I'll post a link. Hopefully the 11-year-old can make an appearance. Hopefully he or she is a Essendon supporter. But, I agree, Scooter. I think it's just, let's just get a game under him, and in the wet, another tick, getting through the hammy. And again, I think it's just adding to this conversation about the chemistry of that forward line. Do we know how many games has 2 Meter Peter and Langers actually played together? Is that a high number in itself, let alone Caddy and Kako? Like, it's just, it's not a big number, is my point. Sorry, I was going to say, let's go to Michael. Thank you for being here, Michael. Appreciate it. Is there room for Davey in the team? Because it would be a great combination with Kako. I don't know about you, Scooter, but I like that suggestion. You are an avid VFL consumer. Talk to me about Davey. How far off is he? Does he look underdone? Could he run out of game? Could he possibly be a sub? Where is he sitting after his injury?
Look, the best thing I can say about Davey, he's definitely in the best physical conditions he's been in his whole career. And I mean that. I mean that strength and running wise. I thought he was quite good in physical stuff last week. What he had 14, 15 disposals, 3 goals. So I'm not like I actually, people saw my tweets. I thought he had a ripping preseason. I thought he was really active. I was really frustrated from that injury just as the season kind of started. But
he had to have surgery too, didn't he?
Yeah. So him having that performance last week, I think he'll get a lot of confidence out of that. So I'm not, with Gresh, I'm not really, too against it. And the other interesting one is after North Melbourne, also Guelphy becomes available. So you've got a few options about how you want to do that, because Scott used Guelphy as a coaching kind of tactic sometimes with the opposition half back to McGovern and those sort of roles. He would shut them down. So they've got some options coming up. So at least there'll be competition for spots. But I like Davey. I think he's improved.
No, there's something about the Davey and Kako combo that just gets me really excited. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like, how cool would it be if both of them running around in Dreamtime? That would be cool.
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. And it would be worthy of the spot too. So it's
good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he stays injury free. And before I let you go, how is the VFL games coming up? How's the roster? Do they finally have a run of games coming up? Consecutive games, or have we got 65 more buys to go?
We are the Channel 7 made a game again tomorrow night.
Great.
So they're playing Port Melbourne again against Collingwood. So it's an Anzac Day VFL game that they're playing on 7 mate. I think 7 p.m. tomorrow night. So obviously guys like Sardis and the Emergencies, Hayes, and that will play that game. So look, I'm really enjoying the VFL. Like, we're 2-1. We're pretty like this. We're a little bit similar to the seniors. Like, we're very inexperienced, and with Laverty out, that's going to be even more, and especially Goldie out. But they're a bunch of good players, the young kids. So little Jaden Ewan in the halfback, I thought he was almost our BOG last week, and it was really exciting to see him play. There's a guy called Angus Clark who's been injured, but he plays. He's only got 1 more week left of injury. Amazing halfback player. I mean, he'll play halfback next year at some point with Roberts.
Do you think he could get a game this year, realistically, like maybe towards the end, or not quite?
He'll be right on the cusp. I thought he has got a bit of Mason Redmond. There's just no other way of saying about it, but he's a bit quicker than Mason. He's very aggressive. So when he takes a mark, he's off. He doesn't think about it. He will dictate the play. So he's very aggressive mindset. So they've got some really good talent coming through. Obviously Zach Johnson, we know, could easily play football in the second half of the year. He's very classy, very, very skillful. So it's a good. The VFL is really good to watch. They're going to make mistakes because there's a bunch of 18-year-olds, but but they're exciting, and you can see it just in moments. You go, oh, okay, there's something there. So it's exciting.
And they're getting some runs in the legs, some experience against, I dare say, like a lot of AFL list of players and opponents. So they're getting schooled, basically.
Yeah,
the only thing is with the VFL is that I just want them to get consistency. And as you say now, at least they've got a few games in a row coming up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the VFL scheduling is just shocker. Like, it's everyone. It is just a shocker. It's just like the whole club. I asked the club about it. They're so frustrated with how the AFL is doing it
I can imagine.
because they're frustrated because they're, when they have injuries, they want guys to play the week before. Like, they need guys in touch. But we do have a small little run of games. Actually, there's quite a few Saturday night TV games coming up, so you'll be able to see them on 7 Mate, and
amazing.
And if you want, and they're at the Port Melbourne ground this tomorrow night if you want to go to the game.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Scooter. Thank you so much for coming and joining me here on the first live. Hopefully this is the first of many. And again, thank you for everything you've done for me. And hopefully you all know where to find Scott, and make sure you check out the Lunchtime Catch-Up podcast. What day is that coming out for the review on the game?
Yeah, usually Monday nights we release the show. So, and look, just one quick thing for Bomber fans. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the AFL website, there's a Vic Metro game in which our 2 NGA players are playing. So if you want to actually see Al Achkar and Adam Swade, you can go to the AFL website at 11 a.m. and they're playing the Vic Metro game live, and they're both playing that game.
That's amazing. That will be great to check out, and just to get a little bit of an eye on our 2 NGA prospects that hopefully we're going to pick up in this at the end of the year. So that's exciting. Thank you, Scott, for that. All righty. I will bid you farewell. Keep watching, and hopefully I'll talk to you during the week. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Scott. Appreciate it. Bye. All right, guys. I am going to pop the link to jump on for a chat in the comments. And before I get to my next guest, if you would like, click onto the link, and you will find yourself into the waiting room, and I will get you on as soon as possible. The link is in the comments. Click onto that. Let's go through quickly a few comments. Okay, here we go. James, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'm a few minutes behind, but big no to Harley Reid. We need to fill multiple list spots instead of spending the farm on a single player, as good as he is. I agree with you. Today, I agree with you. Tomorrow, I probably think that I want to throw all of our list to trade for him. I just oscillate. I really want him, but I also think that, as you say, we have some holes, but we also have some some complementary players that we need to really pinpoint spots for. So, yeah, I agree with you today. Yerks, thank you for being here. I appreciate you getting involved. Our seniors just aren't cut for finals ready footy. Today, yeah, I think the problem was our seniors more than it was our young bebes. Mario, thank you for being here and all your support. I really appreciate you. Let's remember we have just lost our number 1 and 2 ruckman. We were beaten by a better team. We are coming. I agree. I didn't think of it, but a lot of you have reminded me in the chat. If you put Parrish, Caldwell, Draper into this side, is it a different result at all today? I don't know. Could be. As Jamie Robertson, thank you for being here, Jamie. Take out Goldie and you would see an even more massive amount of games played difference between the two sides in wet weather. I was proud of the boys for their effort, just a bad finish. Yeah, the finish was bad. They're probably junk time goals. Hi, Brett. Thank you for being here. No problems at all. Appreciate you. Julie, thank you for being here. What do you think about the mid-season draft? Goldie tried hard. All year game, I think you mean, but do you think we need to pick up a ruckman? Oh, look, I think to me, Goldie wasn't too tall today. He was too immobile. There were a few moments where he was trying to bend down and he couldn't quite get down, and that was what worried me, because you can be tall and mobile. Zach Reid is mobile for a big man. 2 meter Peter Jones, they're mobile, but they're big men. But they're mobile. Today, to me, Goldie looked too immobile. So that would be my concern. That's one game. Let's give him a couple more, and then we can make a comment on that. But it's a good point. All right. Gerks, you say we could have hard tagged Dacos with a defensive half forward today, though, rather than let him roam free. It's good in theory, but he's an exceptional player. He's a star, and it's a hard task. But yeah, we could have sent someone to him. All right, time to bring in my next guest. You will know him from the Flight Plan podcast. He is one of my very, very dear, great mates. He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to football. He loves the game. He loves nothing more than beating Collingwood. He was at the game today, so he is going to be our reviewer for at the game so far. Just quickly, Rick Edwards, thank you. Just popping in for 2 minutes to say congrats. Thank you so much, Rick. Come on and join the chat when you can next time. But without further ado, bringing in Todd. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Got to say, first off, everyone here, especially me, is really proud of what you're doing right now. You're handling it so well. You're presenting awesomely, and this is just a great initiative, and you should be really proud of what you're doing so far. This is going to catch on and go really well. So just thought you should give you your flowers before we start talking about today's game. But, I know everyone here is really proud and really happy that you're the one driving this car right now, because you're doing a great job.
Thank you, my friend. It is still feeling a bit jittery, I'm not going to lie, but you all are really, really making me feel comfortable. So thank you. The link is in the chat. Jump on, come to the stage and join me on screen for a chat. All right, Todd, you were at the game. So far, we're all on our couch. Tell us what we didn't see.
Me lose my voice, sit in the rain and be depressed. I think that's about it. No. It was a great experience. It was full. It was packed. So for wet weather footy, there's, I think, 92,000 people. It was really good atmosphere. Unfortunately, Collingwood won, and you know what their fans are like. Don't really be too disparaging, but I would have loved to win. But I know I might have to change tact a bit with everyone that's come on so far. I think there's plenty of positives for this season, and even today. I mean, if you looked at the first 6 weeks of this season and said who are our best contributors, I think Caldwell and Draper would be the first two that comes up in the top 5. So to have our best players from this season not available, it swings the game. It's a completely different game if those two play. So, the capitulation at the end was bad, but, we hit the front the third quarter. We never gave up, and, a couple of things go our way, and you never know what can happen. I mean, as Scooter mentioned, jump time goals killed us, but, this Brett Scott's been preaching patience for the longest time, and everyone gets upset when he says it again, but, judge the man on his 4th and 5th year, not 2 years into a stretch where he's still got the ghosts of drafts past from Doro, As you can hear, my voice.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. Go. Ghosts of draft past. That just sums it up so well.
But from that perspective of what we were talking about earlier, the 2020 draft looked really bad this time last year. And now that we've seen Zach Reid come on and Archie Perkins be a contributor, it flips so quickly. Like, Zach Reid looks like he could be an All-Australian defender now. His foot skills, his ability to read the play and mark the ball, it was uncanny. I don't know how much it picked up on the coverage, how wet it was, but it would have been atrocious conditions for a tall forward or tall defender to go out. He's plunking everything in the hands. He looked so good. And, I was pretty critical of him to start the season. I thought he was miles off the pace, but he's picked it up so quickly and rapidly. I think he's an absolute star, and he's going to be an All-Australian player. Touch wood if he stays fit. And obviously, you and I both love Archie, but sometimes he's only young still too, but sometimes he doesn't have the impact across a full game like we'd want. But he's getting there, and he can do those cameos that Jake Stringer did, but we also get the defensive stuff too. So I think just in a space of 6 weeks.
I want to talk more about Archie, because I want to talk about his defense, particularly his ability to lose an opponent in a defensive transition, and the time it takes for him to click into defensive mode concerns me, because I'm not seeing an improvement in that regard. When he gets it on his attack, he's exceptional. He can change a game. He has that ability, as you say, to be a game changer like Jake Stringer was. But his defensive accountability concerns me, because I'm not seeing loads of improvement in that space.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. And yeah, I agree completely. But also, there's the point I wanted to raise for you and get your opinion on it. I just took a look through the stats. There was 13 players today, and we had 1 tackle or less, and 10 of them were Essendon players. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about how defensively we were switched on. And they're guys that should have been laying tackles. I don't think Andy McGrath had a tackle today, and Ben Mackay only may have had 1. It's the stuff that they should be doing. It's they should be leading the way. The solution mentioned it perfectly. It's these guys who are like the Andy McGraths who are at that 26-year plateau and going above. They're not the ones that are driving change in this team, which is, it's disappointing. But yeah, Archie really needs to work hard on that defensive side of his game. I think he really does benefit from having at least 4 games of footy under his belt. It seems every season when he gets an injury, he comes back. It's the same as Zaharakis. Gets an injury, comes back, and still struggles to pick up every aspect of the game until he's had like a month of footy under his belt. But I think he's when we saw him in the preseason, had a chat to him on the podcast, he was very committed. He spoke significantly about his defensive efforts in particular, and I think it may be a longer process than people want, but I think he'll eventually get there by the end of the season and be a guy who can hurt both ways in terms of defensive pressure and getting forward and kicking a goal.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll.
What are your thoughts? Do you think it's something you can pick up?
I feel like we have to commit to him. But I don't know if it's specifically something we have to send him away to work on. I don't know if it's something that can be worked on. It's an instinctual thing. Like Caldwell does it the best for me. It's his mind goes before his body. It's or the other way around, like he's into that mode. Archie is a step behind every time. And he just, I don't know, it costs us because the ball ends up shooting straight back past him and it goes into the opposition forward line too quickly. It's up to those high half forwards to really put the brick wall up and to create the barrier and to slow the opposition down. And I want to stick with him because obviously offensively he's fantastic and he's got a footy brain that I don't think many have. But defensively, I don't know. It's probably just something we have to just endure with him.
Yeah, and it's really incumbent on him to make the change. You can't, as you mentioned, you can't coach that. It's got to be intrinsic. But I know you'll agree with this after I say it. Harry Jones didn't seem like that defensive pressure guy, and then he turned his career around last season and became like one of the better.
That's a really good point.
So it's commitment, and sometimes. You mentioned Archie can be a little bit reactive instead of proactive. If he can sort of switch that mindset and get it defensively, I mean, his whole career can change course in the space of a season, but he has to want to do it, which makes it difficult. But speaking on the list build, so the solution talked about, we may have made some mistakes about it, but, if you look at Collingwood's list today, especially their best players, so Josh Dacos, Nick Dacos, Quaynor was an academy pick, and then Moore who didn't play today. That's 4 of their very, very best players, father, son, or academy players. Like list builds are so dependent on luck sometimes. Like and it could make all the difference when Kobe Buick comes in. He could come in similar to Nick Dacos and take the league by storm. But we see it with the Bulldogs, we see it with Collingwood especially. The father, son picks can just change a club's trajectory so quickly, and we haven't had the best ones coming through lately. Like the Davey boys. Probably not quite where they should be, but Buick comes in and makes the big impact, and our next generation academy guys, it's like the sky's the limit for these guys. I'm really optimistic about what's to come, and we just need to see some of those guys like Archie Perkins, as you mentioned, get consistency with his footy, and the other guys like Durham was brilliant today. I thought he was absolutely sensational, especially around goal, and I think a lot of our guys didn't react the way it should have been when the weather came. Like Sidebottom won the medal today with 32 touches. 11 of them were turnovers. That just shows you what footy is in wet weather. It's about driving the ball forward. It's about constant movement. It's about putting your body on the line. Like any other game, 11 turnovers, he'd be having worse on ground sort of status. But he was just everywhere today. And it just goes to show what wet weather footy is all about. I think we really will lack, and Caldwell would have dominated today, I think, in the wet. And even Darcy Parish. I mean, 2 of our best wet weather footy players not there. It makes it tough. But there's such good signs, and really wanted your opinion too. What of the young guys, like the first and second year players like Caddy and Kako, who really impressed you today? Was anyone sort of stand out that you thought, he kind of took to the big stage better than I thought he would?
Yeah, I have to go with Kako, to be quite honest. I thought, and Kate actually made such a good point on X to me in saying that last week, even though he didn't kick goals, his energetic presence was felt by the West Coast players because he's buzzy and he's energetic and he's a bit hyper and he's prowling. He's always on the prowl. He's always moving. He's running on top of the ground. He looks like he's running on tippy toes kind of thing. And his energy, I thought, really turned the momentum today. Along with what I like about him is he doesn't, like, if he doesn't make a tackle, for example, he doesn't go into his shell. He just keeps going with the energy. He goes to the next chase. He does not drop his head, and he just keeps the energy up. He looks like a player who is just by force, he's not going to lose his spot. Now, we all know he's not going to lose his spot because we lack in the small forward, space. So we know he's not going to lose his spot even if he has a bad game, but he does not play like that. He doesn't play like a guy who knows he's not going to lose his spot, and that's what I adore about him. And I wish every player played with that attitude. Caddy's the same. He's a big boy, so it's not going to come as easy to him as it is to Kako, but he plays like he doesn't want to lose his spot. He doesn't get it right all the time. But I think if you're not excited about those two, you're not watching hard enough. Roberts is the other one. He was very impressive today too.
Yeah, oh, great. He was sensational. But, the difference with Caddy and Kako in 3 seasons' time, a lot of the opportunities they had today, they snapped a goal but lower than it should have been. So if, like, in 3 years' time, Kako snaps that over his head, goalpost high, it's a goal. So him and Caddy could have probably shared in 6 or 7 goals between them. If with a little bit more game time, a little bit more thought process going into what they're doing in terms of like instinctual. But I really am optimistic. I think Caddy in particular, I think it's the third week straight, he's had a probably quieter first half than he want, but he kept his head in the game and continues to make his presence felt. I mean, in the third quarter, that snapping goal from the set shot was brilliant, and that he got the energy up, he got the crowd up, and then Kako kicked the next goal. We're in front. Those two are just going to be so impressive going forward.
I think Richard makes an excellent point. Hi, Richard. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Caddy wants the big moment. That's bang on. That is bang on. Facts right there. That is everything Caddy is about. He wants the big moment. He doesn't shy away from it. He's ready to take it. And his body's going to catch up. But in his head, he wants it, and he will not shy away from it. That's great.
Yeah, and the club said that they need to pull him back from his endeavour in terms of training and fitness levels, putting on muscle. Like, he is a maniac. Speaking to him in person, obviously he's very tall, athletic, but his mindset to become the best player he possibly can be is so refreshing for a team that, no aspersions to any player that's come and gone since then, but no one's had the desire to rip this club from mediocrity and put us back into finals contention quite like him. And it's so refreshing to see. And I'm sure everyone who watched the game today would have felt a buzz every time Kenny went near the ball. And that's no secret. He really, Richard nailed it, and you did too. He loves that big moment. And it's a certain personality that wants to have the ball in their hands when the game's on the line. And we've got him and Kako who will absolutely thrive in that moment. And it's going to hold him in such great stead 3 or 4 years down the track.
Craig also makes this point. Did you see the moment where he and 2 metre Peter marked it at the same time, but he was in front and he took it? And Craig says, when it was either his own or 2 metre Peter marks, he said, no, I want to kick it. And he didn't kick the goal, but it's the endeavour. It's the not shying away from that big moment in time. So, you're right. You're bang on, Craig. I agree. Anthony, I agree with you guys somewhat on Caddy. I think he wants the big moment. However, wants it for himself a little too much at the moment. That I hope will develop as he matures. I guess that's a balance, right?
Yep, definitely. Young guys would have come in. You know, we've seen Nick Watson for Hawthorn come in,
Yes.
take Hawthorn from a lower team up to a premiership contender, and it's built based on, you know, celebrations, enthusiasm, and wanting the big moment. And players these days shouldn't shy away from that. I understand what you're saying, Craig, and I fully agree too. He does probably want it a little bit too much for himself, but that's a good thing. You'd rather have a guy eager to be the man than someone who's just happy coasting along as a passenger.
Yeah, I agree. I think and it's a balance, you know, like you want them to have that strut. Look at Sam Mitchell. It's a balance about nurturing that spunk, or you don't want to kind of, you know, beat it out of them, because it's part of their charm and it's part of their ability to actually win a game for you, you know. So it is going to be a balance for Brad, and I think with Caddy, the better he gets, the more he's probably going to be a little bit selfish sometimes, because he's going to see, well, frick, I can do this. Get me going, you know. And he's probably, we see sometimes he snaps goals that he shouldn't, right? But I think, it's easier to teach humility than it is confidence. Yeah, spot on, Anthony. Agree with you there. 100%. All right, let's go to Anthony. Thank you for being here, Anthony. I really appreciate you. Run and spread from contest is a massive concern. Todd?
Geez, it's maybe today, but you know, Caldwell in there, Parrish in there, that changes. Merritt's role is completely different with someone showing a bit more attention to Caldwell. So I agree with what you're saying there, but also we're a little bit of victims of circumstance without the best players potentially playing. Transition, I think, is kind of, you know, a little bit more on what you're speaking. You're talking about contest, whereas I'm talking about defensive transition. But, you know, the hard running back the other way has been an issue for us for a couple of years now. We're getting better at it, but it's all about player accountability. And it's you'd rather them trying to win games and go push forward than to be timid and not attack the contest. So it's got, like you said about Sam Mitchell, it's a balancing act. And he'd have an idea of in his head about, you know, stifling players in terms of their confidence and stardom, for lack of a better word, for what they do, and then doing the hard stuff. I think Archie Roberts is a guy who mixes those two perfectly, and he plays well beyond his years. I can't believe it's only his second year. He's unbelievable and just came out of nowhere, really. But yeah, with guys like him leading the charge, you can see this club can turn around so quickly. Like with it, and Archie Roberts just showing Mason Redmond and others how it's done. Like, no disrespect to Mason, but he's getting shown up by like a 22-year-old right now. And yeah, if there's pressure on spots, as you mentioned, it makes it better for the team. Scooter talked about the VFL as well. We got to keep pressure on. Guys like Sardis need to keep putting big numbers up, and he could be the answer to all our problems in terms of defensive transition. He's a great forward runner, and he also works really hard. So there's plenty of upside. And, you know, I've played outside of the result today and, you know, the season to date. I think it's just a great year. And it's unfortunate that Draper went down, so we're probably not going to compete for finals, but there's going to be so many great moments along the way, and people are going to really enjoy Essendon footy for 2025. We may not make the 8, but, you know, it's going to be a fun ride, and I think everyone in here is going to absolutely love it as the season progresses. We're going to have some fun wins, but, we can't expect to win every week, which is, like you said, one of the youngest teams in the league outside of Goldie playing today who put their harder up. But, it's just great to see a footy club with hope for the first time in maybe a decade.
Yeah, there were certainly some good signs today where I thought, wow, I can see the big picture on show right here. We rattled the most experienced, oldest team in the competition. We actually, a bunch of kids essentially rattled them and had them, you know, on their toes, worried that they were going to drop this, and they had to clean themselves up. And I didn't think I was going to see that today. I didn't think I was going to see that maturity as a group today. So that was a really big tick from me. You wouldn't have known this. I don't know if you've caught up with some of it, but there were some comms issues with the communication from the bench to the box. And Angela asks, what impact, if any, did the comms issue between the box and ground have in our third quarter result? You've played a bit of footy in your time. I don't think it would have been a huge issue, but I don't really know the behind the scenes nature of kind of communicating between box and, well, what if the box had to tell the runner something and they couldn't? Like, what effect would that have had?
He wouldn't have been able to give direct feedback to players, and positional changes. But I think if it was such a big issue, he probably would have came down to ground level. That's my thought when I saw that. So he had the option to go to ground level and go straight to the players. He mentioned in his post-match presser that he felt a bit helpless.
I haven't watched it. What did he say?
He said that he felt a bit helpless in the box. Bit powerless, sorry, with an inability to like shift the magnets around, speak to players and whatnot. I can understand that Collingwood would have the advantage in terms of tactically, given their coach could communicate to players and we couldn't, but it's clutching a bit at straws if we think that's the reason why we got blown away, from the middle of the third quarter onwards. I think, I think just the reality is we just couldn't match them when they turned up the heat. And it's a learning process, but we'll get there.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I think, as you say, if that was certainly not the reason we lost, if that makes any sense. I don't think it would have had a big issue to it. All right, let's go to another question. Or a comment. Richard, Hobbs has mongrel. Yeah, I agree. Yep. I thought Hobbs around the ball today was really good. And I think he's building.
His goal was great too.
The only thing is with him is he's not going to get consistency in that spot, is he?
No. And he's another one like Archie. He just needs continuity. It seems like he builds some great quarters of footy. He does his blind turns. He digs the ball out and puts to advantage. And he seems to get injured and have to spend 2 weeks on the sidelines. I just want him and Archie to get some clear run of footy and just see what they're really made of. Because I think both of those guys can be difference makers going forward for the footy club. Because first round picks, they don't come on trees. And Dodoro, it's no secret that he hasn't been nailing them over the last 15 odd years. So if we get the best out of those two, especially, it's going to go a long way. But I really do love the way he goes about it, Hobbs. It's just about getting the ball in his hands a little bit more and being a bit smarter with the footy. I mean, he hasn't got the best foot skills going around, but he's got a great handball and a great ability to get the ball in traffic and evade tackle. So play his strengths, get it out to Zach Merritt, let him go forward. Nick Martin get the ball in his hands. Even Durham, great foot skills. But yeah, I think he's starting to find the right balance. And like that goal today showed what sort of class he could have as well to go with it, which may have been not something people thought too much about Benny Hobbs, but that blind turn and kick for goal, that was a really smart goal. It was right in front of where I was, and I was really surprised and really happy that he put it through because he knows his stuff around goals, which he hasn't really shown a huge amount in his AFL career today.
Craig, Hobbs has mongrel, but what do we think of his footy IQ? His ball use with ball in hand. Sometimes he can be too slow to move the ball all on. That's an issue at times for me. Yeah, look, Craig, I agree. That those are definitely, you've pointed out some of his deficiencies, definitely. But my issue with that is we focus on his deficiencies a lot when no player, like I could put up Martin or I could put up Durham and I could tell you some of Durham's deficiencies. The question is are his deficiencies costing us as much as Durham's or as much as Merritt's or as much as Langford's? And it seems that the Essendon faithful are torn on this. Where do you sit on whether these deficiencies that he has? For me, probably the biggest is that he's a bit too slow to move the ball on and gets caught holding the ball a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest issue. But again, they're not robots. They're not complete perfect players. So is it too much to ask that he's going to be nailing all these things?
Yeah, I really do think it's a symptom of him being a first-round pick too. I think if he was taken in the second round, people wouldn't be so critical of the way he goes about it. Even like Durham as a mid-season pick, like people are a lot more optimistic about him and his skill set just because he was taken via a different methodology than the first-round pick. So I know you'd echo these thoughts. We've probably had these conversations 1,000 times. The expectations put on someone just based on where they get taken in the draft are ridiculous to me. The best footy clubs, you'll see that Geelong in their heyday, they used to say, it didn't matter where you come into this club, we all start at zero, start at ground level. And that's exactly where it should be and how good footy clubs run. They don't, if we brought in Harley Reid and paid him $2 million a year, you'd be pretty upset if you were some of the players like Hobbs and other ones that just have been plying their trade and they say, okay, we'll just give him all that money. It's such a fine balancing act to keep the team morale up to where it should be and also rewarding players for what they do. Like you said before, Brad's Brad has a balancing act with it all, and it's such a difficult way to go about it. But Craig mentioned footy IQ. How do you quantify footy IQ? Because there's so many different ways to look at it. Like you'd say Jamie Elliott's a guy with great footy IQ because he always gets behind the back. He always gets like good shots at goal. Same with Nick Dacos. But, I think a guy like Zach Merritt is a guy with huge footy IQ, one that can really dictate what they're doing out on there, and they know the best ways to kick the ball and protect the ball and keep it moving. So, like, so Craig's mentioned, obviously, Hobbs, potentially a deficiency in footy IQ. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a bit harsh, that part.
Yeah.
His footy IQ seems totally fine to me. I don't think, when I say fine, I mean average for a player like him. I think he would be average. I think someone like Archie has a very good footy IQ. I think his footy IQ is fine without being incredible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you say that Sammy Draper's a guy who had low footy IQ, but he was working it out this season. He had something like 10 straight set shots where he's kicked a goal just by changing a little implementation in his game that's got him confidence. So you want to bridge the gap between footy IQ and confidence and let them merge. And I think that Draper had worked it out perfectly, which is what's so shattering for him that he went down. But the sooner the guys learn to, as I mentioned there, just get from confident footy IQ, get them there. That's when we start to be a finals contender, and it's coming. You just feel like players just keep almost getting there. It was like an almost game from Caddy, almost game from Kako. It's just going to take some time. We've got to be patient, unfortunately. I know Essendon fans are sick of hearing that word, but we just have to be patient and let it unfold.
We do, and that is a good segue. I thank you so much, Todd, for coming on and giving me some of your time. And as always, your unwavering support of me is something I hold dearly. So thank you. And needless to say, you will be here very often in the near future, post games and on some Thursday night team release night. So thank you so much. I know you were you've been missed in the platforms on social media, but I'm so glad to have you back here. And I'll see you next time.
Once again, everyone in this chat right now will say congratulations to you. You're doing an awesome job. Your presentation skills are massively. You're honestly so polished. It's hard to put it into words. I think you should be really proud of what you're doing, and I can't wait to be involved throughout the year. So well done to you. Love your work and love you.
Thanks.
So. Have a good night.
Thank you, my
Appreciate
friend.
all the support.
I love you. See you later. Bye. Okay, before I bring in my next friend, let's go through some of these comments. Okay, the lunchtime catch up. Club will need to address first quarters after 6 games. Total scores are the opposition 157 and Essendon 84. Constantly having to play catch up after quarter time. Yeah, great call. For a young group, playing catch up is hard. You're a step behind before you even get going. Great call. Tell me, lunchtime catch up, who does this start with? Is it the Brad needing to get the players less revved up in the room so they come out on top? Whose responsibility is this, do you think? Let me know. Richard, if Hobbs was playing off halfback, he looks faster. Interesting. Bruce, hi all. I just got home from the game. Hi, Bruce. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Anthony, you're not sure Hobbs is built for the modern game. Don't know. Not sure about that. I don't know. Aussie Al, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. We are never going to win games with only 17 men. Mackay is a witch's hat. I thought he was okay today. All right, let's talk about that with my next guest. I am going to welcome to the stage Anthony. Hello.
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am well. Now, you were at your first game today in how long? How long's it been since you got to a game?
My last game was the Bombers versus Western Bulldogs at Marvel about 4 years ago.
Is that where Peter I kicked like 7 goals?
No, I wish it was that one. No, it was No, it was where we got done by about 40 odd points, and Darcy Parish shirked at a marking contest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So are you the common denominator here, or what should you get to more games or should you get to less? I don't know.
Look, I think that's fair to say. I'm probably the common denominator. But can I just
how was the
can I just take a second to say the fact that you've got the courage to do this after the game and put your face to it on YouTube, I'm super happy for you. Super proud. You got all the I'm just a nobody that listens to. I work from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning by myself without anybody there, and I listen to podcasts every day. So I consume a lot of Bomber podcasts. Listen to lunchtime, all of them, and to see them all on your YouTube channel, fills me with a lot of joy, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you so much, Anthony, and thank you for your support in all my other facets as well. And thank you for having the courage to come on. Hopefully you're setting the tone for everybody else to feel like they can, because that is what this is about, creating a space where everyone can feel like they can come on. So thank you for doing that. I want to know, have you been to an Anzac Day game before, or was this your first one?
No, second one. The last one I went to, I can't remember the year, but Andrew Lovett won the Anzac medal, so that should be able to give it away.
Amazing. And so how was the atmosphere? Did you get wet? Were you sitting in a...
No, look, I was up in the nosebleeds, fourth level, but undercover, so only got a little bit wet. Look, I have to say, having been that long since I've been to a game, I forgot how much fun it is and how much more of you see of the game, and just how genuinely nice most people are. I see a lot of you jump on X and the other platforms, and you hear horror stories about the footy, but I don't know, most of my interactions with Bomber supporters and Collingwood supporters or opposition supporters is so positive.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not the young hothead that I used to be, so I'm fairly a bit more level-headed at the game than I used to be. Try to give praise for the other team and clap for all good plays, and I think that goes a long way. But just super stoked to just be at the game and hear kids cheer their team, even if it's for stupid Collingwood. But I just
did you were you with the kids today? Did they go along, or were they at home?
No, it was just a boys' day out today. So I got back to the wife and kids. They were all a little bit. So you've had a few drinks, and yes, I have. I decided to continue.
Absolutely, that is what public holidays are all about. No, or is it a holiday
Absolutely.
for you? Have you got to work?
No, I have tomorrow off. So
amazing. Well, amazing. So, what did you see at the ground that we may not have seen, especially being so high up, to see the setup? To see, particularly in that first quarter where we just looked reactive rather than proactive, and our mids looked just a step behind their team.
Look, I'll preface with what I say now is that I'm certainly not as apt, having been to a lot fewer games, as I've just confessed, as yourself and the other podcasters that are on here. But watching from TV for the last few years, I would say it was very obvious on the screen that our defensive pressure and our defensive setup was quite poor. And so, stopping teams from transitioning, especially from kicking, so it was real. It was just oh God, oh no. Every time they kicked in, it felt really bad. But from where I was sitting today, as I said, given my lack of experience in watching it live, I actually found that our overall concentration and their attentiveness to where to set the ground up after the first quarter's pretty poor. I kept on nudging friends and they're like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And maybe the last 10 minutes as well, when the game was done and they'd switched off a bit, probably just, but for that, say 3-quarter period between the halfway through the first quarter and halfway through the last quarter, I felt like our setup and the way that we defended the ground was quite nice. And actually felt really comfortable every time I saw the ball going towards that Ridley, Mackay and Reid trio.
The wall.
Some of the body positioning from Reid today, Seeing it live was like, oh yeah, you could see that. Being at the ground, you get to see he read the ball before it was kicked, and so he positioned himself well beforehand. Things you can't see on TV because you only see when the ball's getting there.
Yeah, and that was part of his scouting, like just his ability to read the ball. Not only is he a good user, but his ability to actually read the play and read the ball and read his opponent has always been part of his accolades. So that's really interesting to see that he, before long, he's going to be a leader back there. Like, he just looks like he's played 50 games already.
Yeah, he gives me that kind of Harris Andrews vibes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, really solid. Get a few kegs on him and it'll be freaking awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay, with the kick-ins, this has been an issue for a long time. I don't think one Essendon supporter can say that they feel confident when we're kicking in. Is this something, do you think we need to put more effort into this at training? Do you think it's a confidence issue, a personnel issue? In your opinion, what do you think it is?
Listening to you on a podcast recently, you said you went to training and you were very disappointed with the skills that were on display. And then you also said something else, how you hear it all the time, like how you train is how you play. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Like yourself, I'm a business owner, and that's one of the coaching tools that I use for my staff is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Habits.
Habits. So, if you've got poor habits at training, if you're allowing things to go under the radar, it just compounds and it'll come out on game day, especially when you're fatigued and when I've been training jiu-jitsu for 12, 15 years. And the difference between when you're feeling energetic and you're feeling good, between when you're fatigued and somebody's got their knee on your chest and you want to give up, your decision making is very, very different. And so it's super important that you get those basic decision making, the decision making right when you're fatigued. It's those little things like, I saw it a few times today, even from experienced players like Langford. It was just one contest that I saw, and you could see he didn't have the energy to do what he really wanted to do. It was on the wing, it was on the far wing. I can't describe the exact play, but I remember seeing it going. He didn't have the energy, so he kind of went for something a little bit easier. But what I was really happy about is that, he negated the downside. So he couldn't win the ball, but the downside was the ball went out of play. That gave the team opportunity to reset. Whereas Archie Perkins did the same, like he didn't have the energy to chase today, but at the same time, especially, I think it was the end of the third quarter, he was running out of the legs to chase. He was trying to get off the ground, trying to come to the bench, but he didn't negate the downside. And he
didn't
opens
halve
up
the context.
And he cost us a goal.
Halving the context. Yeah. And it's such a good point. Like when you get to that fatigue level that it's more mind over matter. When you get to that point, you have to halve a contest. And that's what I've always loved about 2 Meter Peter, when some people complain about that he's not taking enough contested marks and uncontested marks, or he doesn't have his marking hands on, is that he very rarely gets outmarked. So if he's not taking that mark, he's at least bringing it to ground. The issue has been for so long that we haven't had the ground level players to clean up after him. But it's what you do after. And as you say with Langford, that the experience and the maturity to halve the contest, and to, if you're not going to win it, at least don't let your opposition win it back. So it's a fantastic point you bring up. And maybe, Craig has said, it's how we set up the ground and want to move the ball. We go wide to make the ground bigger. Do you agree with that?
I read that again. Can you say that again? Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it's how we set up the ground and we want and how we want to move the ball. We go wide to make the ground bigger.
I'm probably not qualified enough to comment.
Yeah, I mean that could definitely be playing into it. Also, with the fatigue thing, playing wet weather footy is another. It requires more. It takes more out of you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that was something I said to my friends today. I think, having a younger side today, that durability when the ground is wet, the ball's wet, I think that really came to the forefront in the last half of especially the last quarter, when the seasoned bodies, they can push through that fatigue. Whereas you look at, like, as much as, Reed's a fourth-year player, he's only played 15 games.
Yeah.
Archie Roberts, who's played 10 games. Kako, Caddy, they just don't have the seasoned bodies to withstand when your legs are feeling heavy and you're pushing off a wet ground, the ball's heavy. Those things, it all adds up.
Yeah, spot on. And, it was on display today, our opponents, like how they handled it. They looked, as Scooter said, they looked like they were playing dry football. It was it was uncanny. It was uncanny. How wet was it? Because on TV, it honestly didn't look like. Was it ever heavy rain or was it a
No.
steady sprinkle? Because okay.
No, steady sprinkle. It was like sitting at those when you're in hot weather and they've got those moisture sprayers at the outdoor bars. It felt like that a little bit.
So just enough to make everything a little bit slippery. And the good thing that I was worried about in wet weather is, and it annoys us all, I didn't see many slipping over today, which was great because they all had their right boots on.
Yeah, well, if you compare it to the Hawthorn game, they definitely.
This is what I'm saying. Exactly. And on a seemingly perfect night, or day, I was like, oh my God, we're going to be seeing so many slipping over. But to their credit, they all had their right boots on today, right?
Yeah, if anything, I saw Collingwood players slip over a little bit more than we did. So there was a very, very, very small win.
Yeah, very good. Oh, well, Anthony, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Continue enjoying your day off, have another few beers, relax, enjoy, and hopefully next week or in the future we'll see your face again. And maybe, are the kids into footy or not interested?
I've got 3 girls, so I'm going to do my very best. But before I go, can I just say how I got in contact with Fiona was I heard her on the podcast and I became a customer of something about cake. Fiona did the cake for my wife's 40th birthday in November last year, and I have nothing but praise. It was absolutely spectacular. My wife was absolutely blown away. It was a stunning cake. The flavors were insane. She just did an amazing job. So if you listen to Fiona, if you know about her business and you need a cake, 100% grab a cake from Fiona.
Thank you, Anthony. And again, as I said, like the support, you are one of my best cheerleaders. So thank you. I am so lucky to have you in my corner in all my realms. I really appreciate you. It's not a small thing for me. So thank you so much. I can officially call you my friend. So thank you so much. Enjoy your day off tomorrow, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Fee. Take care. See ya. All right, let's go through some of these questions. Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate you being here. Do you want to jump on for a chat? I've popped the link to jump on for a chat in the comments. It will be the last opportunity this week. So please feel free to jump on if you'd like to say something. Let's have a look. Anthony said, Kako brings great energy. Would like to see Davey and him paired up. I completely agree. Fantastic. I think dream time, that just sounds amazing to me. Think of those two causing havoc in the forward line. That would be very cool. Richard, nobody seems to use the corridor anymore. Well, I must say Collingwood did an incredible job at denying us the corridor today. They simply just did not let us go there. And if we did, they were on us like hotcakes, basically. Is that a saying? On us like hotcakes? Or did I just make that up? Who knows? Jeremy, we lost out on the Fletchers, the Hurts, and the Longy. We did. Wow. I'd love to know, does anybody know, or is there a stat gurus, is there a stat, like, who is leading in success for father-sons and that kind of thing? Is there a ladder? Like, is Collingwood leading that ladder? Is Brisbane leading that ladder in terms of the father-sons? Who's doing the best in the entire league? I would be so interested to know who is leading that, because we are certainly not leading that. Scotty, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Finally home after the game with my greasy chicken meal. Good to have this debrief. Misery loves company. I love you, Scott. Thank you for being here. All right. Jace.
Hey, how's it going?
Look at you in your bomber puffer.
Yep. Yeah, just chilling at the moment. I'm actually from WA, so yeah, it's
Okay.
a bit cold here, and yeah, I've just been disappointed today, but really happy you've got this channel. So congrats on that. Obviously, yeah, I've been hoping someone would do this just because I've watched obviously Blue Abroad and the fan cams, and I think it's just really good that all of us get on here. And most of the time, I'm sure it's going to be therapy for. I've been a long-suffering Bomber supporter for nearly 30 years, probably over 30 years now. And yeah, just excited to be here and talk to everyone.
So, well, thank you. Yeah, 100%. This is the place to be. Firstly, when you say it's cold in WA, how cold are we? Are we talking like it's what, just a cold 20 degrees, or
it's actually about 10 or 11. It's about 10 or 11. I mean, it's because I live quite close to the beach as well, so it's a little bit colder.
All right.
But
all right, I'll give you that.
Not like Melbourne. You're from Melbourne, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, we're in Melbourne, so we are. I get a lot of people coming. Well, I talk to a lot of people coming here from WA, and they are in puffer jackets when it's 25. So I was just checking that it wasn't quite that. So do you get to Melbourne for games at all, Jace, or what?
Yeah, I do. I tend to go to Melbourne once every probably couple of years. I went last year with a mate, and we went to the St Kilda game, which was quite we got smashed. Yeah, that was not a good game.
No, you didn't pick well.
Yeah, I didn't pick well. Most of the times in previous years when I've gone, we've won. But did see him win last week, even though it was very, very nervy.
Yes, you did. All right, so talk to me about the game last week. Being there live, what did you like? What didn't you like? And what were you worried? What worried you? Were there some habits that worried you?
It kind of started like today. The first quarter again against the Eagles was very similar. Like I knew the Eagles, like I heard it all here all week. They were rubbish. They were, they were really put down. So I knew there was going to be a big response from the Eagles, and that's what was worrying me right from the beginning. They just went bang. Like what's his name? Jake Waterman for the Eagles. He just kicked 3 or 4 goals very quickly. So it just looked like we were well off the pace. Very similar to today's game, where it just looked things happened so quickly. And then once we settled, a bit like today's game, like last week, we finally got into it. It just obviously the Eagles are nowhere near as skilled as Collingwood, so we were able to get in and probably punish the Eagles a lot more today. Obviously, second quarter was great, but seeing it live is quite different than TV. You just see how they match up, and I agree with the previous person. I like Reid. I think he's going to be a really good player. I like Ridley. I like that back line. I think it's quite well settled. I'm more concerned about like the small forwards. I think that's been a problem for us for quite a while. The Greshams. I mean, Kako's a young guy, so he's going to take some time, but we just don't seem to have that star quality like Menzies. Like had 4 goals one game against Melbourne, nothing really the last 2 games. I mean, he's a sub today. That's where I feel like we're struggling the most. Obviously, we got beaten up a bit in the midfield today. That's been quite a strength of ours.
If you had to pick a small forward combo, keeping in mind that Scooter told us earlier that Guelphy is going to be back in the selection picture soon. What is your ideal combo, Dave? I'm talking out of Davey, Gresham, Kako, Menzie, did I say Guelphy?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
You know the lot we have to pick from. What is your ideal combo? If you had the reins, if you're Brad Scott at selection, who are you going with? If they're all fit and healthy.
They're all fit and healthy. I mean, I'll definitely go Guelphy. I think he defensively, I think when he's playing really well, I mean, I remember a couple of games last year, that Giants game, and there was a couple other games towards the beginning of the year. I would definitely pick him. The problem with Guelphy is staying fit. That's the biggest problem. He seems to just get injured way too often, and it's sort of a setback every time. Who else? It's a good question, actually. I mean, Kako.
Sorry, question without notice, but that's what we're doing here.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I mean, Gresham just is like a few games he's there, then he just is not. So it's really hard to just keep putting him in there. Someone said in the comments that I see about Nick Martin, I think they need to use him more forward. I just think he's got the Mercury type-esque sort of way about him, and he can just kick those goals, very smart around the goals. I mean, his first game, he kicked 5 against the Cats. And even last week in WA, he was really good, like very skillful. So I'd probably put him up forward. And I don't know, should we give Davey another go? I mean, I don't know. That's where I feel where we're just not stocked up. I think, like I said, Caddy's going to be a great player up forward. Peter Wright, I've liked him the last couple of weeks. Langford's just coming back. I think he'll be better for the run. But the smaller guys we've had an issue with for, I reckon, 5, maybe 10 years. Yeah.
And as we've said during this stream as well, it's the connectivity. Like we keep one comes in, one comes out, and that's part of the problem with Guelphy, right? Like you get him in, no problems, but if he's getting injured every 3 games, every 4 games, what is that doing to disrupt that ability to connect with the forwards to get some continuity in their line? So it's a big issue. But I think the games you're referring to last year was on the GWS game. He played a defensive forward on Lockie Whitfield and took him completely out of the game. And then it was against Hawthorn where he made Sicily just inconsequential. He made him barely there. So he does have that ability to be a really good lockdown defensive forward. So I do like your thinking in that regard. Yeah.
There's also, and I was thinking this before I jumped on, and I think it might have already been said because I haven't watched everything. The problem, the other guy that needs to be there, Perkins, he just seems to have cameo games. I'm not sure about him. Like, is he playing in the right position? Because he was, I guess, supposed to be maybe the Jake Stringer type role coming in this season. And he just goes missing. Like even last week, he had that really good patch where we're coming back in the game against the Eagles. He kicked like 2 goals and nearly kicked the 3rd. Just seems to float in and out of games. I think he's got potential, but we just don't see enough of it. What do you think about him?
But I'm gonna challenge you on this. Isn't that what Stringer did? Didn't he go missing for parts of games and then he'd pop up? And so I guess if I just thought of that now, because I completely agree, and I've said it during this stream, like he worries me in that I don't see an improvement in his defensive accountability. He's great on the offense and he can be really, eccentric and he can change games off his own boot. But I just don't know if we can carry that lack of defensive accountability.
Yeah.
But again, that's what Stringer used to do. So we
I
take the good.
I agree. It's kind of, I guess Stringer was winning like games off his own boot, and he would go missing at times. I guess he had a bit more grunt in the midfield. Perkins is sort of like, I guess it's just where our midfield's at because we've got obviously Merritt and then Durham was so good today. Caldwell, I'm looking forward to him coming back because he's really elite player. And Dylan Shield obviously didn't play that well today, but he's been quite solid. I feel he's really good last week against the Eagles. I just think he's sort of. I really loved his first season, Perkins. When I first saw him with the long hair and all that, I was like, damn, this guy's really good. Since then, he just, I don't know.
I don't know. Like he always talks about the confidence about confidence. And I don't know if he just, if he's in his head a bit too much. I think he needs to, I know he's working really hard on it, but I just don't know if he's in his head a bit too much. Richard asks, but what is even Perkins' position? Well, that's, I mean, that's a good point.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Does he know? Do the coaches know? Some players really excel being that, not swing, but being that, being able to switch from different positions on a whim. I don't think he is taking to that, being that swing position at all. So I don't know if that's inhibiting him. I also don't know. I also don't think dropping him is going to help the issue, because if he's a confidence player, so what is the fix?
Yeah, I mean, it's just persistence. I guess you're right. I think it's maybe partly mental too, with him, because he seems like definitely a confidence player. Like, he got up and about, like I said, at the game last week. You could just see in those, I think it was in the third quarter, I think it was, when we were coming right back to about a draw last week against the Eagles, where he kicked those goals and he was up and about, and then he was everywhere for a little while. And that's what we want to see more of. I mean, because even Ben Hobbs, I feel, has gone past him. Like, I've liked Hobbs this year, actually. I like his grunt. May not always kick the ball.
That's a great point.
Great. But he's
that's
gone
a great
ahead of
point.
him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. Like, I certainly did not predict that Hobbs would be ascending that little bit more. It's probably a part of Hobbs has probably got a bit more competition for his spot.
Yes.
So he's probably, in his head, he's fighting tooth and nail for his position, whereas Perkins perhaps doesn't maybe feel that push as much. So that could be also an element. But so getting to today's game, if you had to give me a 3-2-1, who are you giving me your 3-2-1s? Another question without notice, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. No, I love the question, so that's perfect. Obviously, I mean, Merritt, I would say. I mean, he was one of the best players, so definitely for us, that's an easy option. Probably 3 to Merritt. 2, I like Durham's game. I really like Durham as a player. You know what? I'll go Reed 2 and 1 to Durham. Yeah. That's how I'll do it.
Great shout.
Yeah,
great shout. I'd give a little smoky there, or half a point to me to Peter, because I thought he stepped up really well, kicked his goals, and especially the one that he got a tackle holding the ball and then a goal. Like, what more do you want to see from your big boy down there? That is exceptional work.
I loved it last week, seeing him kick the 6. Like, he was just
moving
so well.
Yes.
Seeing him moving, and I've always been quite a big fan. Like, I always said, like, keep him in because we need him, and obviously he's in now because of, well, Draper's out now for the year, think for the year. Brian's out. Tom Edwards, local WA guy, is out for the year as well. So I just hope Peter can get back to his Crichton medalist year, or at least half of that. That'd be good if him and Langford could have a good team up there. I think it would be good for Caddy as well, because Caddy getting the best defenders at his age, it's going to be tough for him. So he's got a lot of potential, Caddy, and he'll be a great player. Even today, like you were saying with Peter Wright, I like Caddy. Some of the jumps and just the effort he puts in is amazing. So, I hope Peter Wright continues. I'm looking forward to next week and Marvel against the Roos. I think that would be good for him. Hopefully get another bag. And that's, I was quite positive out today. Like, the thing is, Collingwood are the number 1 team. They smashed up Brisbane at the Gabba last week by over 50 points. They've been beating up quite a few teams. So this wasn't a total surprise to me. Really happy with our effort for, maybe 2.5 quarters. The start and the end was kind of junk time goals. But the next 4 that I think we can win maybe 3 of them. I think we can beat North, Richmond, maybe Sydney, but one of those we can still. You just never know. You just got to remain positive, I think.
And perspective, understanding where we're at. And it's great. Like, I don't know if I often commend the commentators, but they did make a point to point out that Collingwood are we're the oldest team, and that we're the second youngest, and without Goldie, we're probably the youngest, because perspective is important. Perspective is important in the comeback that we showed today, that little comeback, the ability to worry the most experienced, premiership faves at this point. So I was really happy that they pointed out, because it needs to be said, it needs to be remembered, but it also can't hold us back. So, really great. Thank you so much, Jace, for jumping on.
No worries.
I hope you do so in many more time. You can be our WA resident stream fan cam man. You'll probably, the next time you're on, you'll probably be in a t-shirt and I'll be in the puffer. So
definitely.
Thank you so much for coming on and for your support. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot. And we'll chat soon.
Take care. Go Bombers for next week.
See you later. See you, Jace. All right, before I finish up, let's talk through some of these comments. First of all, who let a Pie supporter in here? Umpires did favour Essendon a lot more today, in my opinion. Mick, you're not going to win this one here, my friend. You are being cheeky. Go away. No, I think there was one set of rules for one and one set of rules for the other, but we don't blame the umpires. Sab, thank you for coming. A little late to the party. Was having a non-nap, but have we discussed the bona fides of the coach yet? Oh, no, we haven't tackled Brad Scott tonight. Maybe you can jump on, and you are someone who's going to be on the offense of that argument. So next week, I expect to see you jumping on and telling me why Brad Scott is not the man for this job, because I know you think that, and I want to hear your opinion on it. But thank you for being here anyway. Jeremy, I think we were robbed with Edwards going down. A tall good at ground level and kicks bags. Yep, that was certainly disappointing. Honestly, I still can't believe the luck of 3 long-term injuries in consecutive weeks. I don't believe in coincidences, and so I can only think that the universe is just having a laugh, because it's just fucked up. Kept my checked out of it. Richard, that's a great point. He usually kills us. Yep, great point. Anthony, Guelphy, Gresham and Mendy will not get us to where we want. But are they role players? Every team, you can't have a full team of stars. No team does. Collingwood don't have a team of stars, but they've got role players. Are these 3 role players, or do you think they are not even that? Respect to Guelphy, though, always tries hard. Yeah, I'm on the fence with that one. I think he can sometimes be a bit conditional with his effort, but generally, yeah, I think that is true. Bruce says, we miss Caldwell. I miss him. Always. I miss him when he goes out of the screen and he's actually playing and I don't see him. I miss him. But yeah, absolutely. I think he makes a huge difference because, as Scott said, he forces the opposition to put some work into you. It looked like today all they had to worry about in the midfield was Zach Merritt, and on their whiteboard was stop Zach Merritt, stop Essendon. And with Caldwell, I don't feel like that happens. Anthony, Dylan Moore from Hawthorn is the prototype small forward for the modern game. Apologies for mentioning Hawthorn. All right, I'll forgive you this time, Anthony, but just don't make a habit of it, okay? Next week, I want to see you come on and have a chat with me, please. Dylan Moore is a gun. Yes, agree. Craig, we missed DP3. Yes, the forgotten man. I must say I am really concerned that I keep seeing on the injury reports TBC with how long he's going to be out. It's just concerning me because the longer that goes, the longer this looks like is he actually even going to play this season. So, yeah, that's concerning, but we do all forget, recency biased and unbiased, like we forget the he adds another layer that opposition have to worry about in here. In the midfield. I miss his tan more than anything. I know. Oh, his beautiful, slick, shiny tan body. Oh, you and me both. All right. The Lunchtime Catch-Up podcast. Remind the Solution he owes me a coffee catch-up. Love the show. Pleasure. Thank you so much. Solution, I know you're watching. You owe Scott and Grant a coffee. You can't go back on your promises, okay? Jay, TBC for a minor calf strain is a strange one for DP3. Yes, agree. Very strange. It makes me think that lower back hasn't quite healed, which is even more concerning because if he's battling more than one thing, then wow, like I feel sorry for him, but I'm also concerned as a team. And I hate to say I agree with Kane Corns, but it's looking like that contract was not one of our best. Luke, right is a weapon when he's playing well. Such a massive kick. Absolutely agree. And as Jace said, let's hope when he gets to Marvel next week, he has an absolute field day. Sticks, thanks for being here. Very poor game apart from these 5 minutes in the second quarter where I thought we turned the tide, but the team looks lackluster and can't take full advantage against great sides like Collingwood. Look, I don't think we can as yet. I think that's the reality, right? Collingwood are the top of the table. That is the reality. We are not there. But I think the fact that we showed signs in spurts, I thought that was a really good. I saw that we have the ability in a really comprehensive way, and it gives me hope. Gerks, we're allowed to constructively criticise players. Absolutely, absolutely agree. All right, last few comments. Scotty, Nescafe Blend 43 on me. Hey, I know. Let's dip into the pockets a little bit, Solution. I know you're from Preston, but come on. I think we can do better than that. All righty. Almost at the 2-hour mark for the first live fan cams. It has been fun. Would you believe I still feel a little bit nervous? Thank you so much for being here. I've been seeing the numbers keep jumping up for views. If you've contributed in the chat with the like button, thank you. If you want to rewatch some of these parts, this live will be automatically uploaded. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world. Please share this channel. I'll be back next Wednesday night for when the teams are released. Usually on a Thursday night, but obviously on a Wednesday night next week because we play Thursday night. I'll be at the game on Thursday night, so the live fan cams I will do when I get home, and I'm not sure what time that'll be, but I'll let everybody know. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. Hopefully this start is the start of something amazing, and I do really want to see so many of you, more of you, jump on and feel confident to jump on for a bit of a chat. You don't have to stay long. I promise it is not as scary as it may seem. So it just takes the first go. Nathan and Jace have started you all off. So please all come back. Next week I will see you back here. Thank you again. I think we've got some really good signs for the team. Nothing, no super duper bad feelings over on this side of the table, and we'll chat more on the socials. Thank you everyone. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here, for the support. Last 48 hours have been amazing. So I will leave you with that. Good night everyone, and go Bombers.